Welcome to the OG Pod, Wosny edition, right here on Count the Dings. I'm Zach Harper. That's Wosny Lambre. That's Anthony Mays. And we have got not just a killer show in which, oh my God, we've got the hourglass emoji. We've got the Players Union part in this 65 game rule. Eminem's diss track. Amin dressed as Baby Billy. Steph and Sabrina gonna shoot it out. But also, you want to get to that Patreon, patreon.com/countthedings, where we will discuss the incredible, sensational, life-altering return that happened the other night by Nets point forward, Ben Simmons.
He's back,
won't want to miss that. You will only get that segment on the Patreon, patreon.com/countthedings. Plus, you get access to all the other OG Pod episodes, the Cinephobe stuff, the Discord, everything you could possibly want from Count the Dings is available in that Patreon. So, guys, let's start off with late last night on the East Coast. Lakers are on an East Coast trip right now. At 2:26 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, LeBron James, after a frustrating stretch of basketball in which he is seen making weird looks at Darvin Ham as he's talking on the sidelines, as he is seen being disgusted by his teammates in blowout losses to the Rockets, as he is asked about what's his message to his teammates after the loss to the Hawks last night, and he says, "No message, just do your job," which is in effect a message.
A message.
And then Lakers PR cuts him off. He says, "Thanks for cutting me off. Appreciate it. I was about to go off." LeBron James, 2:26 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, just tweets an hourglass emoji. Oh, man.
An hourglass emoji, Zach, that the time has run out on.
Yes.
The
sand depends on where you're looking at it, right?
This is important. This is important.
Yes, please give us the deets on this, Mace.
Well, if you go on the computer, you know how Twitter has a different type of emoji style for all of the Apple standards. Mm-hmm. And so on the computer, on Twitter, it looks like it's going down. But there's still some sand up on the top.
Time isn't up yet.
You go on your iPhone, you look at it, time's up. The sands of time have run its course.
So I've got some questions. Do we think, and you guys just answer each one, and then we'll move on to the next one. Do you think this is an indication that he feels like Father Time has now kicked his ass?
Yeah, it's all a marketing stunt.
I think time is up for several people. It's like LeBron knows that time is up on his career. We're down to the nitty gritty here. He knows that the time is up on this iteration of the Lakers roster. Mm-hmm. And this is where it gets a little murky. Is time up on Rob Kardashian? Excuse me. Rob Lowe? Rob Pelinka?
Oh, yeah.
Is time up on him? Is time up on Darvin Ham? I feel like the time is applied to so many situations related to the Lakers.
Mm-hmm. So you think that this is a trade deadline is right around the corner?
Oh, yeah.
Situation. Okay. Do you think it could be that heading into its 60th season, LeBron James is worried about the direction of the show Days of Our Lives?
LeBron James is a scholar of many things. We know he's a music scholar. He might be a daytime television scholar too, so it wouldn't surprise me if this was something that deeply interested him. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Do we think that this could be just, hey, in a few hours, I'm going to announce a very confusing deal with DraftKings?
Did that happen? Does LeBron have a DraftKings deal?
Oh, he sure does. Oh, Woz, you missed it? He tweeted out a picture with the DraftKings logo and everything, and he's tossing the chalk in there, and the chalk is a crown. The chalk in the air is in the shape of a crown.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's like a True Detective thing. Yeah. Matthew McConaughey is seeing the spiral and flocks of birds.
This Lakers team sucks, right? This Lakers team's not very good. They do need massive changes. Is there a legitimate change they could make that turns around this season like their moves a year ago turned around their season? Like, is DeJounte Murray going to change the fortunes of this team?
The theoretical DeJounte Murray would absolutely change their fortunes, meaning the guy who used to be an all-world, on-ball, head of the snake, whatever cliche you want to use, point of attack defender, coupled with the guy who's turned into a nice pick-and-roll player who can actually make a jump shot, who can actually make a mid-ranger. That guy, theoretically, would be an incredible Los Angeles Laker. However, DeJounte Murray hasn't guarded anybody in probably 3 years.
He gets a couple of possessions a game where he will remind you, hey, I can still do this, but I won't.
Right. And it's one of those things that happens with NBA guys, Zach. Like when people become, 20-point per game scorers, they're like, oh, I'm an offensive kind of player. It just becomes defense is for the plebes. We don't, no. That's for the peasants play defense. I'm upper echelon. I score 20 points a game.
Is the funniest outcome in all this them trading for Zach LaVine?
It'd be funny because I think people would then put real expectations and weight on the team that they have. I have it on pretty good authority that a lot of the players on the Bulls were sick of LaVine shit at a certain point, not just Billy Donovan. But I'll always believe in LeBron's ability to get people hyped. Zach LaVine, another clutch guy. Maybe he could do what he did for J.R. Smith to Zach LaVine. Could you imagine if Zach LaVine started guarding people and became a championship cog?
You just said max player, multiple-time All-Star Zach LaVine. I think multiple-time All-Star. Zach LaVine could become J.R. Smith. LeBron's tutelage.
No, that's not what I said. I'm saying his version of what happened to J.R. Smith, meaning playing the best of his ability within a team concept, a winning concept. Not a guy who goes out and scores 30 whenever, but who is
You're knocking down shots, you're attacking closeouts.
Yeah, using his talents within the structure of a team.
He was kind of defending a little bit when he came back from the injury. More than we've seen from him, at least, right? It seemed like he was like, all right, we're playing ball. I'll buy in a little bit. Do you think Zach's healthy enough to have a resurgence under LeBron?
See, that's the Zach LaVine conundrum to me. It's the contract is absurd, and he's got it wouldn't be absurd if he had a history of durability. Right. I think if he had a history of durability, I don't think people would look at the contract as a negative, but all of that guarantee money for a dude who's always missing games and it's knee stuff. It's pretty scary, man. That's to me is the rub. And I think that's why they've been reluctant to just get this done already. I think people look at that deal and say, man, that's going to look nasty on the back end. But LeBron's like, hello, hourglass emoji. I don't have a back end.
Yes. Do you think the Lakers make a move before the deadline? They have to, right?
I don't think it's guaranteed, man. I don't think LeBron is as influential in Laker management as people would perceive him to be. And I think they would like to make a move. Everybody understands that being 500 sucks, but I don't think they feel beholden to LeBron, and certainly not AD. And I don't think it's a guaranteed.
This is me assuming it's marginally educated, but I think it's mostly an assumption. But I kind of feel like post Westbrook trade to acquire Westbrook, all that LeBron influence shit, credibility. He scaled it back, right? I think he scaled it back. I think they were like, all right, we maybe need to handle this stuff, kind of thing.
Which would explain why he's tweeting hourglass emojis at 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if they were on a flight. I don't know if they stayed the night in Atlanta. They are headed to Boston next, I believe. So maybe he landed in Boston.
They was in Atlanta.
They're probably in Atlanta. Yeah, I think there was a couple of days in between. Yeah.
Where do you guys think this fits in? So there's There's
Magic
two
City.
things that I want to refer to here. One is this a throwback to the DeAndre Jordan saga with all the emojis that were getting thrown around on that day? So we had Chandler Parsons with the plane emoji.
Yeah, someone had a car.
JJ Redick had a car. Blake Griffin, car, helicopter, and a plane. Chris Paul, banana boat, and then Paul Pierce with the legendary
rocket
picture of a rocket emoji.
Oh man, he's the best.
Actual emoji itself.
Yeah,
on and on. And then where does it fit in with the passive aggressive LeBron tweets of yesteryear?
Is it even the funniest Lakers tweet of the last 24 hours, or is that Christian Wood tweeting LOL right before the game and then claiming he was trying to quote tweet? So no reporter had a follow up. What were you trying to quote tweet? Nobody did. What?
I was just saying this on group chat that I missed the days when guys got hacked. Anytime anybody did anything ridiculous, I was hacked.
Dare I say Christian Wood as a Twitter user? Casual. He's a casual, man.
Is that the rise of two-factor authentication, Waz? Can we not get away with I got hacked anymore?
Yeah.
No, but you got to be subscribed to get that, right? I think you gotta pay for Twitter to get that.
That might be it. But yeah. The emoji thing, I just remember LeBron fitting out and fitting in with Kev. That's the one
that's the best one, right?
That's immediately comes to mind. Stop trying to fit out.
All caps. And just fit in. Also, be a part of something special, was just my thoughts.
And he was. It worked.
This was the same year that LeBron, remember he left Cleveland and went to Miami for 2 weeks.
Oh God, he just took a vacation like January, right? Like, yeah. He's like, it's cold as shit here. I'm going back to Miami. Oh man, I miss those days.
I wonder how effective this is. To me, part of me is like, a lot of the role players can't play as well when they're in the trade mix. So a lot of this
D'Lo's actually responded like really well to it, right? Like, I feel like D'Lo's responded well.
D'Lo's been on the trade block his entire career. Like, when has he not been on the trade block? Think about it.
Here's how I know the Lakers are fucked, right? Is people are like, why isn't Rui Hachimura playing more? That's what I know. Like, you don't, like, your team doesn't have it. Okay. No offense to him. Congrats on getting paid last summer. He is a better player with the Lakers than he was with the Wizards.
He was incredible in the playoffs.
Rui's got to play more. And I was like, all right, well, I think we're done.
He was amazing in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He made every single shot.
Nobody defended Jokic like he did. Just read ESPN after game one.
They're the first people to try that.
The secret defense gets unleashed. All right. I think the topic du jour is definitely the 65 game rule, right?
Yeah.
65 game rule. You don't hit 65 games played, or it's 62 if you have a season ending injury. You don't hit that. You're not available for MVP, all NBA, all that bullshit, right? And so Tyrese Haliburton, it's funny, like Tyrese Haliburton had a quote in an Athletic story. He's calling it a stupid rule because Hallie like felt rushed to come back. He's got $41 extra million on the line, blah, blah, blah. If he gets these honors. Embiid last night after missing a couple games, one, everyone was like, oh, he's ducking Jokic, or oh, he's lying about being hurt or whatever, for missing that game in Denver. And then he misses the game against Portland and then comes back and plays against the Warriors. And man, he looked like shit. Even pre-injury, like he looked terrible. He had 8 turnovers. He had like 18 shots for 14 points. And then Kuminga falls on his leg. Looks like I don't know. A grown-ass man fell on his leg when he was on the ground. It looked painful. He left the game. Now everyone's saying, he's only playing because of this rule. I don't know if that part is true. I do think he felt pressure to play, but that might have been more people saying like he's faking it. Or maybe he just want to play. I don't know. I don't know what that was. And then Draymond comes out on his podcast today and is saying that it's ridiculous. I don't want to debate the rule so much because I think that's been done a lot. Like you can go find my thoughts on the Athletic Podcast show. I'm sure you talked about it on group chat. Was like, everyone's talking about the rule itself. I'm curious the union part of this. The union part of this is you negotiated this. as a union. Your player representatives agreed to this. And I wonder, did they think this wasn't really going to become an issue? Did they just have to make concessions? And the whole thing is, look, whatever these policies in place, if it helps the negotiations for the media deal, the media rights and everything that's ongoing and maybe has been settled by now, we just haven't been privy to it. But if it helps bring in more money for the NBA, that will eventually pay out to, we get a 50-50 split, essentially 51-49 split with the players of the revenue that comes in. The money's going to get figured out and it's going to help the players overall. Or is this simply they didn't think about the ramifications that this would truly have? How do you think the union justifies this to their own members who are outwardly complaining about this? Because this isn't going away. This is part of the CBA. This is for however long the CBA is, this is going to be a thing.
So I think the union screwed the pooch here. Honestly, it's obvious that they did, in the sense that they couldn't foresee something like this happening. And the idea that, members of their union would be rushing back from legitimate injuries. We're not talking about load management stuff. Legitimate injuries that guys are yo, I need to come back and get all the money that I could possibly get. I mean, this wasn't hard to foresee. And the problem to me is that everybody has convinced themselves that Adam Silver is an angel sent from heaven for the players. Mm-hmm. And this idea that, if Adam suggested, he only has our best interests at heart. And so if Adam says it has to be great and we're just going to go along with what Adam wants to do, I think they fucked up. Because realistically, y'all supposed to have an adversarial posture towards Adam Silver.
You're supposed to have a working relationship, but you're not supposed to be buddies. Right?
Exactly.
That's the great. Look, Stern had a lot of problems. Don't get me wrong, but that dude was a fucking commissioner.
Yeah.
He did his job. There was no I'm going to dip my toe in this area and dip my toe. No, it was this is where I am. Fuck you.
Everything that I'm about is about the long-term sustainability of the league. Okay, so because we're talking about players missing games, load management, all of that. If people remember, man, when Pop first did that shit in 2012 or whatever it was, 2013, sitting guys during a TNT game, they levied a huge ass fine on them. Yo, what the fuck are you doing?
David Stern said, we're not doing this.
Obvious. And we got to give our props to Amin, because in real time, he said, yo, this shit is cool when the Spurs do it. Fine. Nobody gives a fuck about that team anyway. They don't got, outside of San Antonio, they have no fans. Nobody's interested in what they do. It's cool when they do it. But when everybody starts doing it, it's going to be a problem. And now we have a problem. So instead of addressing what the Spurs dumb shit was doing, because you can see the long-term ramifications, now we're playing catch up, and now everybody's become accustomed to this as an idea. That, when I don't feel like it, I should get a day off. Even if it's the national TV game and the bulk of our fucking revenue comes from these TV contracts. And so, man, I think everybody's got a problem on their hands. The union does. Adam Silver, who I'm just man, by the day, I lose more and more faith in the guy. I'm not going to hold you.
It's been a while since I thought he was a good commissioner.
It's been a long time. There are things that I like the play-in. I like the idea that teams continue to play hard. I actually like the in-season tournament.
He's good.
Yeah. There's things that he's done, but some of this shit, man, the Draymond suspension being indefinite.
Oh, man.
Come up with a criteria for stupid shit that people do. This is the criteria. This is what you get. Let's move on with our life.
No.
Some of the flim-flammy shit he be doing, I don't like it.
I'm going to push back on this, because there, in those two instances, in the Spurs instance where they sat guys, right, and back in 2012 or whenever that was, and in the indefinite suspension, the wording is the key here, right? Because why did the Spurs get away with it? Yes, they got the fine, but why did the public do it? Because they said out. DNP old. right? Oh my God. Everybody, like, me too. I fell for it. Like, I was just like, oh my God, that's so funny. They called him old and that's why he's not playing. Like, oh, what a great time. And then indefinite. Almost every group chat I was in, see it on Twitter, Draymond Green suspended indefinitely. And everyone went, oh shit, they dropped the hammer. I was like, that doesn't mean anything. Yeah. Like, we've come to think indefinite means like a harsh penalty. Like, that could be 3 games. That could be 30 games. Yeah. We don't know. Like, it is such a cop out of a suspension. And I'm wondering, because we've had the flip flop from the league on does load management actually prevent injuries, right? It was, yes, it does. And now it's like, oh, I don't know about that. I don't think it does. And I'm not even saying we should have conclusive evidence on any of this. I do think it's pretty much a case-by-case basis, right? Like, Kawhi's been load managing, I think, because he's legitimately hurt. Like, that dude his knee is a ticking time bomb at all times. Other guys, like, yeah, I think Embiid goes through kind of like that middle ground of it. Like, Embiid's not exactly a picture of health most years, right? Like, you do have to manage that body to be prepared to maximize in the playoffs. And so I think they've tried to figure that out. But yeah, other guys, like, just like, I don't know if I feel like playing tonight. But it's also like, the thing that's been interesting to me is, and I think the league has had a hand in this with their messaging, is blaming the players for load management, when most of the time it is the team.
It was invented by management.
Yes.
It was invented by management.
Training staff, even working with the front office to be like, all right, these are the times we can avoid this.
And like, even the idea of like, protecting an investment long term, it's like, bro, that's what the money's for. These guys get paid to play. Let them play. Like, they get paid very handsomely to play, go out and freaking play. And then, of course, there's the elephant in the room, which to me goes without saying. This season is too damn long. Just the idea that we still play back-to-backs is absolutely absurd to me. Mm-hmm. In a professional league, that we're asking guys to play as hard as they possibly can, that we're asking dudes to play back-to-backs. I think it's crazy. And, and I'll never get tired of saying this shit. These owners, they're supposed to be the biggest geniuses that the world has ever known, and they can't figure out how to reduce inventory and still make some money. Oh, we won't have inventory. I'm like, get creative, motherfuckers.
Mm-hmm. Because they want to have their cake and eat it too, right? Like, it's so. Where do you think? Like, how does the union handle this? Because I think currently is a union issue, because you have players openly saying, like, I didn't agree to this. Like, I didn't sign off on this, when technically you did. But
Zach, I want to jump in. I'm just wondering, like, is it coming out up front and saying you have to hit this minimum, as opposed to at the end of the day taking stock of the year, and let's say Tyrese Haliburton plays 62 games. Like, is he still, to you guys, an all NBA player at 62 games? Rather than 65? I mean, is it that the number is too high?
Like, look, like, I think all things equal, for the most part, voters. I was gonna say, like, I think all things
voters
equal,
should take it into account, and
voters I think will take it into account. Like, I'm a voter. Like, I've definitely taken into account games played. Like, there's some LeBron fan or Lakers fan that like DM me saying, excuse me, but you're one of the few writers who left LeBron off all NBA 2 of the last 3 years. I was like, yeah, he didn't play enough games. Like, for me, that's what it came down to. Like, yeah, LeBron's been amazing, but he was like 54 games one year and 56 games another year. And I use that as kind of like, not a tiebreaker, but just like a last straw in making a decision. And I don't know what that number should be. Like, it feels very season by season to me. But I don't think, like, I think it made it easy PR for the league, and not even necessarily, it made it easy for like negotiating with media rights. Just say, hey, we got this policy. It's like, if you go, well, it's going to be up to the voters and we're going to have these guidelines and hopefully they hit like, that's not easy to get an extra $1 billion out of Amazon or whatever, like I do think a lot of this is just PR that is kind of backfired on them. I don't know if Waz, how you feel on that.
I think it's definitely a lot of PR. They made sure to get it out there because they've cultivated, again, and I don't think this is just one thing. I think they've messaged to the people the regular season is basically unnecessary. It doesn't matter. You don't have to pay attention to it. Our players aren't going to play. When you turn on SportsCenter, their biggest fucking partner, ESPN, is going to have their most important people talking about pick protections and the next move and yada, yada, yada. So our players don't play. Our coverage, we tell people, you know what you need to do? Go mind your Twitter and wait for the next domino to drop of some next transaction. Go watch CNN. Twitter. Don't watch our games.
Or CNN. You never know when CNN's going to.
Period. At halftime of games, there are people aren't offering analysis of the game that's being played. This is regular season coverage. So they've messaged to the customers, the regular season doesn't matter. Our players don't care about it. Our biggest media partners aren't going to cover it. It's just not going to matter. We're going to do soap opera, rumor mill. Stars are going to show up whenever they feel like it. You know, you're never going to know who's playing in what game. You can't rely on anybody, whether they've got a catastrophic injury or they're just got some knickknacks that they're managing. Don't pay attention to the regular season basketball. Don't pay attention to it because everybody's treating it as this frivolous thing.
I don't know.
And now they're trying to come back.
Yeah.
They're trying to be like, no, it's not frivolous. No, the regular season determines your contract. Determines awards, determines this. No, these marquee matchups, you should be tuning in to Jokic and Embiid. No, they're trying to reverse the course that they've taken all these damn years. And it's not going to be one thing that fixes it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's fair to say that they have told us the regular season doesn't matter, because I don't know if you know this, was, but there's a rivalry week now, randomly every January. It's pretty important, you know. I mean, Embiid didn't play in the rivalry game, but you know, it's pretty important.
The last two MVPs, at the center position, big men revolutionizing the sport. Yeah, they didn't deliver, but
I mean, I wonder, because I was having a conversation about this in a group chat this morning of like, all right, players complain about this laying groundwork for the next season. I'm like, that's like 6 years away. You can't from a player's PR's perspective, I mean, I guess maybe they can because they're getting paid regardless, but like, you can't complain about this for 7 years.
That's absurd.
Like that's not a negotiating tactic. Like that's going to fall, because as I used the best platform to discuss this last night, which is Twitter. And
of course
that was, I mean, that's where but a lot of fans and I thought this was reasonable. Like, I'm supposed to care about an extra $40 million for this dude when he's already getting $200 million. Like, I want to see guys play. Right, which I think is a very reasonable thing for fans to expect and to want and everything. And so, like, me personally, I could not. I think it's wrong and weird that my vote is tied to money incentives. At the same time, when it comes down to the vote, I don't give a fuck. I genuinely don't. That is not my problem. That is not my decision, and I am never going to account for, is this going to make someone extra money by getting this vote? Like, I'm voting based on who I think should get the award.
Merit?
And if it happened, it's a crazy idea. But if it happens to then trigger that super, like, great. But this whole grandstand about it, like, I'm like, the system's a system. I'm not going to feel bad about that. You know what else
they're about to do? They're about to devalue those awards in and of themselves. When the narrative becomes, such and such was first team, but realistically, the other guy was much better that season. He just didn't meet the threshold. Another thing, another product, another achievement that the NBA is devaluing.
Dude, so many people are going to call Embiid the MVP of the season no matter what.
Yeah.
You know? And I don't know that I can fault them for that. He's been the best player. Is just, he's missed games, you know?
Again, I guess I understood. To me, this feels like something that should have just happened internally.
Yeah.
Where the league, which I think they did have that conversation about NBA in-season tournament, where guys legitimately played hard. It didn't feel like a Tuesday night game in November. Like it felt like, okay, people are like going hard for this. And it felt like obviously they had a conversation like, guys, take this seriously. Treat this like something that matters. I get it. It's regular season, but this is a product we're going to try to sell to get everybody paid. Right?
Yeah.
That feels like a conversation they had internally and everybody got the hint. I don't see why this 65 game, whatever, like internally, it couldn't be like, yo, guys, we need to change course.
Yeah.
And, part of it to me, and I was saying this the other day too, I don't know how much this new crop will feel, especially these Gen Z type of cats. I don't know how they will feel about.
No, I'm here with this. Yeah,
I don't know how they're gonna feel about the idea that this their responsibility to leave the league better than they found it, or at least just as good. I don't know that that's gonna actually speak to any of these guys.
Granted, it's a very small amount of players, but what you're talking about is, the stars are primarily responsible for carrying that torch, right? When you're signing for $250 million on one contract, like
I'm sorry, I can't be bothered. Yeah, there's
sure, there's pride, there's all this, but like truly, if we're going to be realistic about it,
I mean, these guys would actually have to take seriously the idea that the NBA is a fraternity. And again, like you're standing on the shoulders of giants. Like if Charles Barkley and Pippen and Karl Malone and Gary Payton and J. Kidd and all of these guys that came before you, they set the foundation, Shaq, whoever. They set the foundation for Kobe and LeBron and all of them to make the league into a product that could be sold for the amount of money that allows. And I use Karl Towns as the example. The Karl Towns of the NFL is probably making, $18 million a year?
Sure. Still a tremendous amount of money, but not.
Still a tremendous amount of money, but just think about it. 40, 50, the last year, close to 60 million.
Yeah.
And you're Karl Towns. You've never done shit in the NBA. Like, you've never accomplished any.
Whoa, you forget. I believe he won the
that
three-point contest.
Is losing to the Nuggets in 5 games.
Well, I don't know if you know that, but they made it through the play-in tournament to get there.
Yeah. Their accomplishment was actually bigger than the Nuggets
championship level. Yeah,
I think Woz just told the NBA that the hourglass is empty. Time's up.
One more idea.
I think they need to commit to a different message than what they have previously.
Yeah.
I think this load management, this blasé, this all that matters is second aprons and, let's spend hours talking about aprons and this and tax thresholds and blah, 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 blah.
Can I use my biannual exception?
Oh, my God.
So you want Dan Campbell to be the next commissioner of the NBA?
I would love it.
It's an old school.
They need to commit to a different message that they're sending to the public.
I have a horrible idea to solve this. Okay.
This is a safe space, Zach. No one's listening but me and Woz.
You only get your game check if you win the game.
If you win the game?
Yeah. Otherwise, it gets like, I don't know, thrown into a pool that gets donated to charity or something like that. You only get your game check if you win the game. Now let's see the effort showing it. You don't show up for the game. Sorry.
Yeah.
You don't get that shit. So I think we just solved it. All right, let me read this, and we'll see if the listeners can figure out who I'm quoting here.
Oh boy.
Guess I should stop recording this diss track. LOL. At Ben Johnson, thank you for staying. We can't break this team up, especially since I'm on it. Coach Campbell, we love you, bro. Let's run it back next year. I'm ready. I promise you, I will get us to the Super Bowl.
CJ Gardner-Johnson.
No, good guess.
Oh.
Waz, you probably thought that was Jared Goff. No, but we're getting warmer or whiter.
It is the meme that Josiah uses for Jared Goff.
It is the one and only Marshall Mathers, aka Eminem. He's a what? What is?
Yeah, just he's hilarious.
I'm sorry, man, but Tim Robinson from I Think You Should Leave is more part of this team than you are, buddy.
Sam Richardson, Tim Robinson.
Yeah.
Marshall being like famous reclusive person, like everybody who's ever been around him is like, yo, this guy does not want to leave his crib. He's just home. He doesn't want to interact with the public. Like, he has social anxiety. You know, he don't want to do anything. The fact that he was outside, out front, you know, with this line shit shows his like dedication. So I understand, like, for him, his level of dedication to this team may have felt like he was, you know, training. He was like a player, but like, and please relax. A diss song against Ben
who?
Johnson?
Yeah, was it against Ben Johnson?
What does that mean?
For going to the Commanders?
What?
Was that the move? The dude turned your offense into a fucking amazing gun show, and you're going to get pissed at him?
Let me offer this up, okay? Let me offer this up. Because I don't remember shit with Eminem supporting Calvin Johnson and Matt Stafford, okay? I don't remember any of that shit. Is this fandom for the Lions, or are the seeds of this dating all the way back to Hard Knocks when we found out that Eminem has a restaurant called Mom's Spaghetti?
Yep.
And he's been advertising the fuck out of Mom's Spaghetti since that Hard Knocks with the Lions. I don't think it's about the Lions. I think it's about Mom's Spaghetti. I think he's trying to turn this into like the next Chipotle.
I'm with you. I'm with you 100%.
This is a pure business decision.
100%. You know how you get this shit off the ground? Like Little Caesars started in Detroit, right? I think.
Yeah.
I think it's based in Detroit. He's trying to make this another Little Caesars. He's trying to make billions off this. This has nothing to do. Yeah, because look, granted, Maze and I are 49ers fans, so we're going to feel a certain type of way about that. Not a goddamn part of me thought that they were going to lose the Lions. Out of your fucking mind. You think I'm going to be afraid of the Lions or Mike McCarthy whenever he's coaching a team? Those are two truths that I have in my football-loving soul. I will never be afraid of the Lions. I don't care how good they are. And I'll never be afraid of Mike McCarthy. I don't care how good his team is.
Mike McCarthy's so damn bad.
Can definitely be accused of like
too
I'll much pride going into
both
this
of those got confirmed in their respective Hard Knock seasons. Mike McCarthy wearing that terrible button-down shirt talking about mojo moments from Austin Powers when none of his players were alive when that movie came out as his way to connect with them. And then Dan Campbell unfurling some work pants that he put dust in to show them that we're hard workers. Get the fuck out of here, man.
Nah, I'm a Dan Campbell guy, man. I
refuse to be.
Campbell,
I recognize. I do like his drink order. I do like his coffee where he's dumping 4 shots of espresso into a venti coffee. That's how he starts his day with 2 of those.
But I'm sorry, Marshall. I'm not buying it. This is about Mom's Spaghetti. It has nothing to do with the Lions.
So what about? Are you buying Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce as an actual thing?
I have no comment on this because I just don't want the flood of Swifties. All right.
Yeah. Go to the YouTube and look at the expression on Zach's face and Waz asked him that question.
Me doing the math of what's my name. I once went after, oh God, what was that girl group? Fifth Harmony? Mm-hmm. Remember Fifth Harmony? They like start on like
the white girls that Puff had signed.
No, I don't know. No, this was a Simon Cowell thing. I think it was maybe through The Voice or X Factor or whatever, one of those shows.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They had the Ty Dolla $ign on the Work From Home joint.
They're pretty hot.
I watched that season where I think it was maybe that might have been the last season I saw of X Factor, but I was watching that season, and one of the girls,
Camila Cabello's a big star now.
Mm-hmm.
Is she from that?
She left in 2016.
Yeah. Oh shit, okay. But one of the girls was like, in my opinion, using the death of her grandmother to try to further herself in the show, right? In the competition. And
smart.
And I mentioned that on Twitter one day, and for a fucking week, this was years after the show was done. This is like 5 years after, 4 years after, something like that. And for like a fucking week, Fifth Harmony fans were roasting my ass. That's Fifth Harmony. I'm not going after Swifties, okay? No chance.
Swifties,
it can get too smoky. Okay, someone who loves smoke, it can get too smoky for me.
They're crazy.
I do have somebody we can
don't
go
mess
after,
with
though.
The Barbs who threatened to go to Megan Thee Stallion's mom's grave and dig it up.
What? Wait, what?
That's a thing. You know, Nicki Minaj and Megan Thee Stallion are in a problem right now.
Yeah, that was going to be my other joke of who wrote that diss track. They're on the lines.
And
wait,
Barbs found out where Meg Thee Stallion's mom is buried and said we should go dig up her grave. Stan culture is first, even if you could say, "Oh, I was just saying it on the internet, I wasn't going to do it," but like, why?
I'm trying to think. Like, why? I don't love anything enough for that kind of a reaction. Like, there have been podcasts that I love. There have been podcasts that I love. They're like, "Hey, we're doing a live show about 6 minutes from your place tonight," and I'm like, I don't think I can make it. You know, like I just don't. I don't think I can commit to that kind of effort.
Oh, we're back on Eminem.
You're gonna dig up a grave?
Too many people have been watching Saltburn. We get
That's wild. Oh yeah. Well, you gotta fly. I mean, I'd fuck a grave. I wouldn't dig up a grave though. That's too far.
Here's somebody we can all make fun of.
What the fuck is? You know what we have here? The Levitard crew in the past has said that they think Dan loves losing those gritted death punishments because he likes dressing up in costume. He seems to really embrace it, right? I don't know what this was for. Amin claims that he doesn't know what it was for. I don't think you have to coerce him into putting on a costume.
Somebody just text my group chat in the ring is saying Embiid tore his meniscus.
Oh shit! In the Warrior game.
Ooh.
Breaking news.
Are we sure about this?
Are we? Yeah, we gotta. It's not. Maybe it's just chat. It's definitely not on.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything. But also, sometimes the stuff gets out. You know.
Yeah.
What's worse, Amin in a costume or tearing your meniscus?
Trey's done it and been fine, so I'm gonna go with Amin in this costume.
I've torn my meniscus as well, and I'm okay.
Who's like how long is the typical meniscus recovery?
It depends on what you have done. If you remove a part of it, I think it's like 6 weeks. If you repair it, it's like maybe 4 to 6 months. Jeez. Maybe not that long. Maybe it's like on the lower side of that, but like it's why, you know, like with Robert Williams, right? Robert Williams III. He had just had a piece taken out, and so he could get back for that playoff run, for that finals run. You know, Brandon Roy.
Okay, hearing is that the meniscus is a rumor. It's a rumor right now. Okay. That's the rumor.
There we go.
It's a rumor.
But when you repair it, that's the best thing for you long term, but also the longest recovery.
Are you more susceptible to tearing other ligaments if your meniscus is gone, or is it just like you're a little impacted, but still manageable?
It depends. It mostly depends on how much you compensate with your movement, right? Like if you properly do physical therapy and you strengthen and everything, then I don't think it'll be an issue. But if you can overcompensate pretty easily and put yourself in a bad position moving forward. I don't know if there's a direct correlation though.
The thing I love about this Amin photo is that his hairline is still awful. But otherwise, I kind of approve.
I can't tell if the jacket's too small or the turtleneck's too small, but something is not fitting him right. Also, is he allowed to wear a crucifix even for a costume? I don't know the rules.
You know, hold your chest.
Just ask him questions.
Yeah, Allah might not like that one.
You might have some splaining to do on that one. Waz, how excited are you for this shootout between Steph and Sabrina?
I saw the news. I can't say I ran to the to the internet to find out exactly what was happening.
So this is separate from three-point shootout, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
We need more events.
The All-Star situation is that's another thing that Utah, man, that was some of the worst shit I've ever seen. The All-Star game. There was legitimate juice in the building for that dunk contest, by the way.
OJ
I'll
was
say
there?
that. But so All-Star Saturday can still be pretty fun. But the introduction, the draft, it is 45 minutes of just sitting around.
I like the idea of the draft. It was never properly done. And actually, the way when it was just on TNT on like the week before and everything, like if they obviously it's a TV product, so we have to make it for TV. But man, they could have done that so much better. It doesn't need to be drawn out. It doesn't need to be scripted the way it was. Like it is. Man, like you can do a draft and make it fun instead of just like that long drawn out
dudes showing up to the WNBA All-Star game smack dab in the middle of their summer.
Is it in LA?
Who are we sending? Are we sending Tyrese Haliburton if he doesn't play 65 games?
Do not send Matt McClung because that's disrespect. It's bad enough you're denigrating your own league like that. You ain't got to do the WNBA that way.
Is Mac back for the title defense?
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah.
But
I talked to Bob Mahoney today. He said he got an email offering up Matt McClung for interviews. He's doing media.
Wow.
Apparently.
I got the email too. I got the email too. Yeah. Oh shit.
Let's bring him on next week.
Yeah, bring him on the Wosny pod.
He's going to be doing interviews on Monday, February 12th. So you got to bring him on the Trey and Tom.
Bring him on the OG, the Black OG pod.
Yeah. Well,
also, I realized calling this the Wosny pod is so much better than the Whack pod.
Kind of like that though.
Yeah.
We'll have at least one Whack segment a week. I think that's definitely Eminem's diss track and Amin dressed as Baby Billy.
The Whack pod.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode. Unless you are a Patreon member, patreon.com/countthedings, then you will get this final segment in which we talk about the illustrious return of Ben Simmons to an NBA court.
And you're going to want to hear what Waz says about it, I'm sure.
I'm sure. All right, Waz, this is for the Patreon. We've got, after 2 months of not playing, and he'd only played 6 games this season, Ben Simmons returned from his nerve impingement in his back. I can tell you, as someone who's been battling back issues for the last almost 2 years, shit hurts. It's debilitating. I can't imagine playing basketball with it. But for some reason, Ben Simmons doesn't get any credit afforded to him, right? Like it is just like, he's like mental health. They're like, fuck you, you're lying. Back injury, fuck you, you're lying. Like, and so he comes back, he plays 18 minutes. He had 10 points, 11 assists, 8 rebounds. Like really good. They blew out the Jazz at home. Exactly what you want to see. And now apparently, I don't know, he tweaked his ankle or his knee or something. We don't know if he's going to play next game. But the Ben Simmons conversation, why doesn't he, before we get to the return, why doesn't he get like any of the other credits, whatever, like passes that we tend to give athletes? Has he ruined his credit that much?
Yeah. His credibility is shot, Zach. What are we talking about? He doesn't deserve
he got a back injury, man.
I can't believe he got through that with a fucking straight face.
The credibility, I played one game, blah, like, bruh.
He was
when
a killer,
he got
man.
to Brooklyn, was afraid to play in the playoffs. Like credibility shot.
He wasn't ready. The playoffs are scary,
when he was scared to dunk it on Joe. What's his name? Trae Young, and his first media appearance after that with JJ Redick, where he said, "It's not like Joel was actually killing people. That's exactly killing people that series either."
Hey, like, you know what? Hold on. I will say this in his defense. I'm going to defend Ben. I'm on the Ben Simmons team here. I'm jumping on board. I don't know why, but I'm jumping on board. Look, that shit happened with 3.5 minutes left in the game. Embiid didn't do his job. Ben Simmons didn't do his job. Doc Rivers did what we expect. The Sixers did what we expect. But everyone acted like that lost them the series. You're game 7 at home. Like, I think he took too much as the scapegoat for that.
I can understand why you would feel that way, Zach. However, I disagree.
What a dismissive start to a sentence.
Here's the thing, too. Like, how can you give credibility to a guy who is on a max deal right now, a max rookie extension? Mm-hmm. Max. He's making 35, 36, 37 a year right now.
Like 40 next year. It's incredible.
And when he scores 11 points, I'm supposed to break the pom-poms out.
I mean,
let me ask you this.
They killed.
What's Ben Simmons' next deal? Is it even more than a 1-year guarantee?
No, you can't. I mean, I guess he has like a year and a half to build up more credit than a 1-year guarantee.
Well, is he going to go to a team? Is he going to go for the most money he can get? Or is he going to do the whole 1-year rehabilitation, play on a good team situation?
Next year is the rehabilitation year that he's playing on.
Yeah.
But just ask yourself, is a guy... He's going to be coming off of a max rookie extension.
What if I told you this? All right. What if I told you this? Not maybe Bruce Brown money, but let's say he's going to get 2 years, $30 million, but that second year is a team option. Would you think that? Because I'm of the opinion that there's no such thing as a bad 2-year deal. Like, I believe that. Like, because the first year you figure out, did it work? And the second year it's an expiring deal, you can move.
Yeah, $15 million is obviously below starter level. I guess that's, quality bench player. 1-year flyer.
Was against the Jazz the other night,
And you take a flyer on a guy who's quote unquote talented. We're on the Patreon, so I don't mind sharing this tidbit. My favorite Ben Simmons anecdote is because somebody I know was part of helping him buy a house in LA. Ben Simmons, earner of probably $200 million in his career.
Yeah.
Has no basketball court in his crib in LA.
Well, I mean, that takes up valuable real estate, man. Like, you're going to bedrooms.
Ben Simmons doesn't have a basketball court at his house. His off-season crib.
You think he has a Nerf hoop?
No,
like
he has the hanger.
Like, he had like a dope.
He puts the hanger, the clothes hanger in the door
Fisher Price
from the dry cleaner. Yeah, and he dunks socks into it every now and again.
If he had like a dope laundry basket hoop, would you
just think about that,
like,
y'all?
Right.
Ben Simmons doesn't have a hoop at his crib. That's amazing.
You're gonna use one of those sport courts. You're gonna have a hardwood floor.
Bet he has an inversion table.
I got one.
If Zach Harper can have one in Los Angeles.
That's all you need to know about that dude. Also,
right,
y'all know how I feel about the Australian dude who talks with a Black American accent.
Hold on, Yusuf Nurkic does too.
It's different. That's different. English is his second language. That's different. That's different. That's different.
Let's hear from Ben after the game real quick.
You mentioned just when you checked in, like you had a fast break like 4 seconds after you got in the game.
Yeah. It's always a fast break when I had the ball. Yeah.
I'm buying in, man. Stock has never been lower with him. I think there's still a career to be had. I think he was on pace prior to this short circuiting against the Hawks. He was on pace for a Hall of Fame career. Like he was a all league defender, defensive player of the year candidate. He was on pace to finish with 16,000 points, 8,000 rebounds, 8,000 assists, which only I think Kidd and LeBron have done up until this point. He was on his way. And you know what? I believe in redemption, guys. I believe that Ben Simmons can get this done. He just, like me, he just needs a little acupuncture. He needs to walk a lot. Walking's the best thing you can do for your back injuries, especially with nerve stuff. You know? He doesn't need a basketball court, Waz. He just needs a neighborhood he can walk in. How about that?
Fast break.
I look forward to the next Ben Simmons sizzle reel. That's all I'll say. This off season.
I just can't believe the pop-up notifications, the alerts that I got.
You have to know.
On every platform on Tuesday, Ben Simmons is back. Ben Simmons with an incredible
star.
We're coming off a week where we had 4 people go over 62.
Uh-huh.
And then what do I get? What is the NBA pushing on me? Ben Simmons almost had a triple-double.
Ben Simmons will get you 10. You know? Yeah. He almost did what Josh Hart did last night, which is get a triple-double. So, you know it's special.
I guess his new agent is doing good.
Good for them, man. That's good marketing.
Yeah.
Man, you guys got to buy into the Ben Simmons thing. I'm telling you.
Butts to prepare for his first game back. So
get in on this redemption story.
You've got to buy into the Ben Simmons thing. Because you convinced yourself of this nonsense. I don't have to buy into anything. I've seen enough proof of this guy.
I'm all in. I think, and here's the thing. All right, you want to know? Here's a prediction. Whether it's in Minnesota or somewhere else, get me Ben Simmons and Karl Anthony Towns on the same team. We're going to see true redemption.
Can D'Lo play for that team too?
Cat would love that. Cat would love that. I also have a theory on Devin Booker. I think he lost that game where he scored 62 as a way to take pressure off his good friend Cat. I think it was a setup. They're best friends. The two of them and D'Lo, they do that weird thing that people do online with like, oh, me and my 19 besties. Like, you can't have 19 besties. That's not a thing. Like, you get one. You get one best friend. That's it.
No, Calipari taught them that they're all best friends.
No, this is not true. Then how did D'Lo get in the mix? He went to fucking Ohio State.
Don't worry about it.
Lord.
Thank you for being Patreon subscribers. Believe in Ben Simmons. That's all I'll say.